Next, we have two amazing guys. I highly respect them. They are two of the preeminent trend spotters in all of real estate. First, with 33 books, Stefan Swanpoel is widely recognized as the leading visionary on real estate trends. His books have been featured on 18 bestseller lists, including the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today. He serves as chairman and CEO of the Swanpoel T3 Group. He is the host of the T3 Summit and editor-in-chief of the SP 200. With over 1,100 talks to more than 1 million people, please help me welcome Stefan to stage. Stefan?
Charlie, how are
Welcome,
you?
sir. Welcome.
Thank you very, very much.
Brad Inman is an award-winning journalist and publisher, entrepreneur, and leader of successful companies. He is founder and sole owner of Inman, real estate's leading name in news, information, and innovation since 1983. In addition, his Inman-branded real estate business and technology conferences bring thousands of thought leaders together each year to share best practices and promote innovation. Countless number of new products and companies and successful real estate professionals have been launched as a result of their attendance at Inman conferences. Please help me welcome Brad Inman. Hey, Brad, welcome.
All right, you see it.
You guys good? You need any water or anything? You're all
Yeah,
right?
you can give us a cup.
There you go.
Thank you.
There
Right
go.
for you.
Brad, you all right? Or
One for you.
just want to make everyone comfortable here on stage, you know.
This is called servant as leader.
How you guys doing?
Thank you, Charlie. Great, we're doing well. Thank you for the invite.
All right, welcome.
What a big crowd you have here today.
It's amazing, right?
I heard 6,000.
It is.
Unbelievable.
It's a good group.
Congratulations.
We love it. Gen Blue is what it's all about. Now listen, you guys are amazing, and normally you're grilling me. Now I get to grill you.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
All
that's
right.
fine. All right.
So I think that we know what you do. I'd like you both to tell us why you do it. So Brad, what is it about
that's a
this
great
industry
question.
that's has made a career for you?
Sure. Well, I'm a journalist, and you guys are full of incredible stories, so it's great to cover an industry that has so many stories. I particularly am fond of the everyday agent. I was the son of a retailer. I was brought up to sell, so I respect salespeople. I'm an entrepreneur, and realtors are like entrepreneurs. You wake up every morning without a job. I tell my journalists that work for me, you're lucky you get a paycheck on the 15th and 30th, you get maternity leave, you get health insurance, you get dental insurance, you get every kind of insurance imaginable, you get unlimited vacation. Realtors wake up with none of that. So I love the everyday realtor.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I love to criticize the big shots.
I know we know this.
So we love that.
And we love it too because it makes us better.
Good.
Stefan, why are you in this business?
I was trained as an engineer, and I was privileged at the age of 26 to be invited to become the CEO for the National Association of Realtors in a foreign country. And that, at the tender age of 26, introduced me to a realtor.
Oh.
And I never looked back. I have fallen in love with the industry. I've been in the industry every single day for the last 34 years, and I intend to serve. And I have found it fascinating to try and analyze this gregarious, charismatic, flamboyant, outgoing, A-personality group of people that are absolutely at the leadership of this industry. So, agents, I love you dearly. Brad and I will take care of you and look after you and write about you till death do us part.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Stefan, before we get into the meat of the questions, tell us something we don't know about you.
That I have produced a movie and I released it at the Cannes Film Festival.
Woo! Ah. I don't have time to ask you all about it. I want to know. We'll talk backstage. Brad, how about you?
When I was in college in Boston, I used to go get the Boston Phoenix on Saturday night to read the job ads because I had to work when I went to college. And the best, not saying the best job, but the best paying job I ever got was $5 an hour. I cleaned house for a high-end prostitute in Beacon Hill. And I've never shared that story publicly, so here you
we
go.
All right, this is what Gen Blue is all about. This is great. All right, I don't know how much of what I said you heard, but we're dealing with an industry of change. It's what keeps you guys in business.
Exactly.
And you've been great at following it. But there's been a lot of change. Before we get into real estate, there's been a lot of change in our lives in general. Retail has changed. The service sectors have changed. Consumer expectations have just, been completely turned upside down. So what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the consumer? Brad, I know you're passionate about this. What are the changes in the consumer that affect everybody in this room?
So, smarter. The consumer's smarter.
Yeah.
Thanks to the internet, you can get a PhD from the Khan Academy without going to Harvard. People are becoming really, really smart and savvy about real estate. The challenge that puts on the everyday realtor, I tell the story of an experience I recently had where I got an agent whose only qualifications was she was married to a plastic surgeon. So I dumped that realtor, but I got another realtor. And this is in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, and the agent we got should have had 90046 implanted on his forehead. That's our zip code because he knew every street, every house, the history. He was more intelligent than anything I could have possibly found on the internet. I was a newbie to the neighborhood. My wife Yaz and I, go Yaz, and that's what an agent needs to be, is smarter, a step ahead of the consumer, or their value's lost. Technology's adopting you. That's not how to be smart. It's being super hyper intelligent about the market, and secondly, being a fiduciary. And that obligation is increasingly important because of the complexity of the transaction. So it's really about taking your job really, really, really seriously.
Yep.
But God love you all. Guess what? In 20 years since the internet, there's more of you than there were. And your tenacity is unbelievable. Just like there are more drivers since Uber, and there's actually more bank tellers since ATM machines. Some of this stuff is a myth. You haven't been disrupted because of your tenacity. I recently said, foolishly, and I'm still paying for it in social, I live in New York City some of the time, and I said, realtors are like rats in New York. Now, everyone thought that was awful, but here's the context, and for those that just tweeted out, I'm in trouble. But this is why. Rats are never going to leave New York. They're so damn tenacious, and when you live in New York, you learn to accept them. Realtors have the same tenacity, and that's why you haven't been disrupted, and that's why I like you, and I honor you, and I wake up every morning trying to help you.
All right. So what's your take, Stefan?
Your question was, how have consumers changed?
Right.
I think that the public in general has become more accepting of change in general. So I think if we go back a generation or two, we were probably a little bit more comfortable in our existing paradigm, and we not necessarily resisted change, but we moved slower with progress. There was always progress, there's always been change. So it's not an innovation. But now progress seems to be absorbed, reached out to, grabbed, assimilated, used, applied much quicker than ever before. And it's almost become self-fulfilling prophecy. We're now in a race. We're not just walking anymore. So now people can come with ideas which previously would have maybe taken a decade to get somewhere. Now you're seeing that in half the time, quarter of the time, things which we thought would not happen, suddenly is getting traction, funding, money, momentum, or something. So I think the speed with which we have become accepting of change is fascinating.
So I'm going to stay with you, Stefan. So we're going to talk specifically about agents. I talked about how everyone here in this room is facing new competitors that weren't here a year ago. So talking to this audience based on what you've seen and what you know about the industry, what capabilities are essential? What do they need to be focused on in order to maintain their leadership position in the marketplace?
Wow. So two-folded answer. I would say on the one side, you have to do all the traditional things that you've always done, right? The client still wants a quick, cheap, hassle-free sale. So you still got to do the traditional stuff, but you have to understand that you're doing it in today's paradigm. So you're doing it in a different place. So you have to be able to be nimble, you have to be technology literate, you have to be able to communicate on multiple platforms, you have to be able to be understanding, you have to be able to adapt to change, you have to play as if nothing's ever happened and you get it all, you know it all, and meanwhile you don't know it all. So you have
That's
to play,
all.
You have to play catch up.
That's all. That's it.
That's all the time. Yeah.
That's all they have. They have to just do all that.
Yes, yes. And they can with the right guidance, the right information, the right help, the right support, the right training, the right attitude, the right mentality, it's possible. Sure. Of course they can.
Brad, we've got a lot of management people in the room too, people who are running offices, running companies. What do they need to be thinking about?
I call it fast and furious. The expectation of the consumer today is to get things now on demand and instantly. Here's the knock on the door. Top producer, Coldwell Banker. Brad, I'm here to sell your house. First of all, will you sign an exclusive for 6 months? If I do a shitty job, good luck. Two, we're going to have this really cool broker open house. All these strangers are going to walk in. We're not going to authenticate these people. Who knows who they are? They're going to run through your bedroom. Oh, by the way, before we do that, we need to hire this young 28-year-old stager, and your lovely wife, Yaz, needs to take out all her African art, all her Russian paintings, all her beautiful design, because this stager is going to make this house look cute. And then, by the way, we're going to have 3 consecutive consumer open houses, strangers walking into your house, going through your bedroom. By the way, this isn't a Coldwell Banker agent, someone else. But that's how you've been doing it, gang, and it's not going to work. I can order something on Amazon today, it comes this afternoon. I can wire money through Merrill Lynch, and it'll be there in 5 minutes. This is an arcane, antiquated process, and consumers expect certainty, and they expect speed, so I call it fast and furious, and you all can do it. You can rejiggle the listing offer, where you offer people a fast and furious sale, instant offer. You can offer them a guaranteed sale, and you can offer them the old-fashioned way. All of these things have to be worked out. There's a lot of stuff I'm talking about that's around the bend, but sellers are suddenly, just like buyers have the last 20 years, where I can get a listing like that, I can find the address, I can get the valuation, I get information. We've done a really good job on the buy side. The next thing that's happening is on the sell side. The whole transaction is going to be turned upside down, and guess what? Guess who's going to win? The consumer. And who else? You all. Why? Because you are aligned with the consumer. You don't get paid until the deal is done. My parents as retailers used to buy all this inventory and have to wait months to sell it, and I watched my parents suffer through that. I watch realtors. Your sales cycle is 4 to 6 months once you get a lead, and you don't get paid till the end, and there's no certainty you'll get paid. That is stupid. You should figure out a way to get paid faster. The way we do that is we work collectively to respond to the consumer demand for fast and furious and certainty and make transactions happen faster, much, 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 much faster. We have open houses that are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. like Open Door, not 12 to 2 like we do open houses at most brokers and agents. Amazon figured out a long time ago. The idea of retail 11 to 5, close at 4:45, open at 11:15, retail stores 24/7, 7 days a week, all the time. Fast and Furious is going to hit this industry. Charlie will lead the way with you, with brokers and owners, and it all means you'll all be more vested in the transaction. You all talk about, you're worried about Zillow being vested in the transaction or getting into the transaction. You're worried about Open Door. You need to get more invested and more involved in the transaction. By the way, Brad Inman's wrong 50% of the time, so that all may be BS, but that's what I think.
Stefan, what do you think? If you ran a company, if you owned a company, ran a big office, what should you be thinking about? We talked about agents. What are the people who are running companies need to be, brokerage companies, what do they need to be thinking about?
Multiple things. Probably first, that as you said on stage, the competitor can come from an unexpected place.
Right.
The competitor could come and do exactly what you said couldn't be done, could now probably be done. That while you're still considering how change could happen, that change might already be occurring. That you do not have to be scared of change. Change is not a bad thing, and neither is anything that anybody else is offering or producing to this industry something that you can't do. At one stage, we did not have franchising. At one stage, we did not have the 100% concept. At one stage, we did not have Realogy. At one stage, we did not have Zillow. At one stage, we did not have the internet. And the industry has adapted every single time. We can adapt if we have the right approach to it. You've got to read about it. You've got to study it, you've got to practice it, you've got to try it, you've got to do it. It's in the implementation.
Terrific. Well, you mentioned competition. Who should we be watching? Who wants to take that one?
I think there's a number of companies that you should be watching. Firstly, I think you should be watching just the normal market, which you've always watched. Don't take your eyes off the existing large giants. They are still there. We might think that they're not the innovators at this point in time, but when you have between 50 and 150,000 agents as a competitor, you're still in the market, you still have market share, so don't take your eye off the existing guy. I'm not overly worried about somebody who started yesterday because it does take a little bit of time to get funding and traction and build a momentum. But companies that have been around 3 to 10 years, if we look back in the last decade, there are probably about a dozen companies that are getting traction. They could be anything from an iBuyer company to an auctioneering company to an online company to a virtual company to a cloud company to a company that is more Teams-based to a flat fee directly to consumer to a flat fee directly to agent. I mean, there's a whole suite of them. Yep. I'm tracking over 100 different variations at the moment. Whew.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Any thought on that?
Stefan does a great job of tracking them.
Yeah.
I don't track them, but everything he said, I agree.
All right.
Yeah.
This isn't one we talked about, but I love both of you guys, and I follow you. I'm involved with you all the time, but you represent different perspectives. I'd like to think, we sort of have the art and the science of real estate trend spotting here, right? Very analytical, looking at the numbers every day, and you've got your ear to the ground and talking to people, just feeling it in your gut. Which one's better?
Oh, I think you need it all. I mean,
Yeah.
We're a news company, gang, and just so you know what we do, every morning our journalists wake up with one duty, and that's to try to cover the industry as smartly and intelligently as possible. We have paid journalists, trained journalists, and by God, we make mistakes. The good thing about digital media is you can correct it. We're only as good as our sources. So many people in this room are friends of our journalists and our editors. You tip us off to scandals. You tip us off to things going on, trends, new business ideas. This particular franchise has been one of our longtime unbelievable supporters and readers. The executives always haven't liked us, but the rank and file out here have been friends and readers of Inman for a long time, partly because you're some of the best and the brightest in the industry, and I think we appeal to that. But we make mistakes. But we also are very independent, meaning Zillow doesn't own a share of Inman, I don't own a share of Zillow. None of our journalists can own shares in any real estate-related companies, Realogy, et al., Zillow, any of them. I own no ownership in any of those things, and we have it all transparent on our website. Transparency is so important this day. You need to know who you're doing business with. If you're going to read us every day, you need to know whether we're independent or not, and if we're not independent, we need to disclose it. So we're a news company, but we're trying to get it fast and furious. Why? Because if your customer asks you a question about what happened today with Open Door, you'll have the answer, hopefully, before your consumer can answer that. That's why we used to get criticized for covering all these radical, innovative new models, many of which went under. But the fact is, we think that makes you smarter and better at doing your job. But we're just a news company. Unlike Stefan, who provides incredible research and reports, that's not our expertise, and we leave that to people like Stefan.
Yeah, I'm going to add up to that. I believe you make the news. These people make the news. Right. Brad reports the news, and I ask the question, why did it happen? Mm-hmm. So what's the implication? What's it going to mean for tomorrow? What's the legacy, and how do you compete against it? So we don't report on the news. Brad does that better than anybody else in this industry. And you guys, people like you make the news.
All right, I'll buy that. For both of you, what's one thing that we should be paying attention to that is going to be a big change maker over the next 3 years?
Only one?
Yep, just one. You got one.
The disproportionate amount of outside capital that is flooding into our industry, I track it as at this morning at 1.38 billion just this calendar year so far, already 26% higher than the entire last year. So this is outside funding coming in with the specific intention of changing the model, changing the thinking, doing what Brad says, being more transparent, being more open, being more innovative, doing quicker, faster, less hassle, helping on the buy side, helping on the sell side, changing what we have. Yep. And the fact that somebody's getting that amount of money to test it, and as Brad said, some work out, some don't, and we don't know that before the time. We'll have to see, we'll have to report, we'll have to analyze, but that's a lot of money.
So, yeah, how many billion?
1.38 billion so far this year.
Coming in, so that's going to pay dividends out. We don't know exactly how.
Oh, may never.
As they say, we got to follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. Yeah.
Brad, what's one thing?
Yeah, I think the thing I worried about, maybe I'll share it that way. Is
okay.
That right? I'm kind of worried about a crack in the fabric of our country, and I'm worried about divisiveness, and I'm worried about our inability to have an adult, mature conversation. clearly at the political level, just put that away, you know. I'm worried, I'm kind of an old-fashioned guy. I live in all these liberal cities, and I have a part of me that's incredibly liberal, but I also have a part of me that's, I'm a capitalist. I believe in kind of old-fashioned stuff, and I'm worried about that stuff being threatened. But at the other extreme, I'm worried about what's this attitude about immigration. I have a wife who came over here from Morocco. She left a country that persecuted for who she was, and she had around her neck as her mother put on a boat that said, "I don't speak English." And she landed in America, and she created hundreds and hundreds of jobs and designed clothes for the hipsters and did all kinds of cool stuff in Brooklyn. The very idea that we would not let these people into this country makes me sick to my stomach. I think we all know what we want, and we've let a few extremists on both ends rule the roost and create this anger and intensity. And it's just like here and what's happened in this city. And, every day I'll run through, when I leave here, I'll run into a bunch of you, and we'll hug and we'll talk, and we're all on the same page. But certain people, even in this industry, they're divisive.
Right.
They're looking for things to point to fear, and they NAR, they constantly peddling fear. So that they can get money from you to do stupid things with their money. Your money.
So you would, if I would interpret, if we could come together to collaborate, because we know it's going to we know there's a new world coming for us in this business.
Yeah.
Let's do it together.
Yeah. I think there's big picture stuff here in the country that we need to solve,
course.
and that's what worries me.
Of course.
And it worries me for all of you. It worries me for everybody. You all are tenacious. You're going to survive. You're going to do everything. Really, you're not selling pharmaceutical drugs. You're not selling arms, right?
Yeah.
You are selling the American dream. I really believe this. What you're selling is really great stuff. You're going to be around doing it for a long time to come. And
great. All right. So we're out of time, but I got one more question. This is your chance, my chance, really. Give me one piece of advice. I run the greatest real estate organization in the world. Give me a piece of advice.
Go, Brad.
What should I be focused on?
Well, one, I'm very grateful you asked me here, and I'm always an honor to be next to Stefan. But next time, a friend of mine said it recently, Brad, you old white boys had a good run, but it's over. Run and done. Get some more diversity in the opening of your session. That's right.
Okay. Stefan?
Be willing to listen to an incoming generation that, although half the time their ideas are crazy, they often have some good ideas which will help you change the future.
All right. All right, everybody, let's give him a big hand. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Stefan.
Charlie, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Brad, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.